Hello everybody, welcome to the In the Mixer show. My name is Phil and I'm your main presenter for the morning,
Love it.
noon or evening, depending when you're listening to this. Speaking before
Nice.
they're introduced, how rude.
Yeah.
How extremely rude.
This
You know
is
what?
our show.
I'm being hijacked.
Oh no.
The show's being hijacked. It's an absolute disgrace. But who's it being hijacked by? That's the question. I'll introduce the hijackers. We have one Swedish man who supports AIK and Chelsea, and we'll get onto them later. Well, only one of them.
Right.
And we have a Schalke and Birmingham supporting fellow over here, which hopefully won't be mentioned. But
Yeah, either of
actually
them,
no,
'cause-
they will be this week.
Brilliant.
They will be this week. So how are you two gentlemen? How have your weeks been?
Dreadful.
Yeah, pretty much.
Dreadful.
Yeah,
What about on non-footballing terms?
dreadful. No, nah, it's been alright. Been alright.
Yeah. What about you, Michael? Been alright?
Yeah. All right, I'll go for yeah.
Well, it's a good start. Nice. Yeah.
Possible.
Well, we are very much a audience-friendly podcast. I'm gonna get it in early. If you want to get in contact, any questions for the next week's show, maybe, or just any questions for us in
This
general.
show, live.
Yeah, in the Mixer Show on Twitter or in the Mixer Podcast at gmail.com. If you prefer to email us, a bit more personal. But yeah, I've had a good week as well, lads. Thanks for asking. Someone who hasn't had a very good week, Jurgen Klopp. We'll get straight into the action here. They just drew 1-1 with Newcastle. We've just watched it. What did you guys think? I'll just go straight. Was it a good game? Did you enjoy watching it? I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, it was spicy.
Spicy,
If
oh.
that's an adjective to use. Yeah, I think it was a decent game. Like, probably not like quality-wise, but watchability. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's the thing with Rafa Benitez. Like, there's always something. Even if the team's not playing well, which, considering their individuals, Newcastle perhaps don't have the greatest attack in play. Always interesting to look how they line up, and tactically, because they're always so interesting. Newcastle getting a really good point here. Then we'll talk about the Liverpool goal. I think it was who scored it. I can't actually remember.
Coutinho.
Coutinho, of course. Yeah, it's a
was
screaming
great.
goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, cut in. I had problems with this one. Is this Michael, goalkeeping expert?
Why?
Should he save this?
Right. Well, I was thinking about this because I thought at first it was deflected,
It
Like,
was not. It sailed.
but
in
it was.
clean.
But it wasn't. So, given that it wasn't deflected, there's maybe a case for it. But it is like it is. It's like top court. I don't think you can really criticize a great amount.
He's hit it really well, Coutinho.
Yeah, and, like the pace and the spin on the ball with it coming away from him, it's obviously very difficult to judge. And I think he is obscured when it's initially, like the initial path of the ball, so he's had to judge it after it's taken flight. So I don't think really you can criticise too much.
I think naturally as well. Obviously, we're nitpicking it 'cause it's a great goal. It's just hard to analyse a screamer from 25 yards
Coutinho's
out.
been good since his return, though.
No, he has. He has.
So he's proven a lot of people wrong about his Barcelona rumour deal.
Oh, about him being a bit, funny after it.
Yeah.
Well, he's done well, and yes, he's been back, but couldn't drag Liverpool out of this game with all 3 points, unfortunately, because, well, Newcastle's goal, Joselu, who I think the majority of his goals, you have the old header, left foot, right foot statistics. I think the majority of his goals has been other at this point.
Your knee.
Yeah, literally. It's
Shoulder.
it's just absolutely peculiar. He scored one the other week, didn't he? Where it was a bit funny. I can't remember. Anyway, his goal. I have a little theory about this, but do you guys want to talk about Liverpool's defending?
It's just
No.
it's just a pathway really through there, and I think it was offside when I'm looking at the replays, just by like a foot or something. But it's obviously hard to catch in real time.
Yeah.
But generally, I think that's an offside, from my point of view at least.
Yeah. I think, it is offside. I think we can clarify that and say it was offside and probably shouldn't have counted. But I just wanted to say, like, the way Liverpool press, I was right about this on Twitter, so if you've already seen it, I apologise. Press, basically, they come out to the ball really quickly, try and rush the teams on the ball. And when it's a team like Newcastle, perhaps don't have the quality on the ball, they're going to give the ball away, and that's why Liverpool can create counter-attacking opportunities. With this chance, the ball actually made its way to Shelvey. I think it was maybe Richie who offloaded it to Shelvey. Anyway, Henderson does this judge that really well. And then Wijnaldum, I think, is the man who's supposed to go to Shelvey, doesn't go to him, and Shelvey has such a great array of passing. But even then, the ball just goes straight down through the middle of the pitch. And we said this, was it against Leicester maybe, or perhaps Watford ages ago? Just straight through the middle of the pitch, and
it shouldn't be allowed to happen at all. Not between the centre backs when they're both there.
Oh, that's right. Even with his space, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand they're probably a bit further apart because their wing backs are going to push forward, keep that high press going, so they want to cover the balls that are cleared to the flanks and put into the corners. But it just seems really simple. And go on, Michael.
No, it's really not. At the time I saw it, I thought, we can't talk about the Liverpool defence again because it was offside. But you could even put the case forward that even if he's onside, the ball could still come through that area and he can still run onto it.
Yeah.
There's not a huge. I seriously do. I think they're that far apart that the ball can still come through in a similar spot.
Considering how small the margin was, considering how the actual finish went in, if Matip is there a split second before, it probably doesn't go in. Considering the actual goal,
I don't know. Maybe so, but it's just there shouldn't be so much of a gap in the midfield. I don't think it's particularly defensive or particularly there. I think there just has to be somebody has to be holding that space in the middle, so that can't happen.
Well, they played with the three of Chan, Henderson, and Wijnaldum. Like I said, none of those particularly sit in the hole. To block those easy passes through the middle. Perhaps if they did have someone there, this pass wouldn't have got through, Newcastle wouldn't have got that equaliser. But after that, Liverpool did have some really good chances. I think the best chance probably was the Oxlade-Chamberlain header from about 6 yards out that he put over.
Yeah.
So Liverpool did create some chances. What did you think of the selection as well, starting Daniel Sturridge? I know they have obviously come back from Russia, in the midweek. But there's still a decent few days rest. I think they played on Tuesday, didn't they? So that's a good 5 days rest, almost.
When I saw Daniel Sturridge there, I just thought, what are they taking this game for granted? Because Daniel Sturridge away at Newcastle late game, I just don't have any faith in Sturridge anymore. He just looks so, just not complacent, but not very sharp at all. And he really showed that.
Because he had that one-on-one, didn't he? And keeper saved it really well. And I think Salah missed the rebound as well. We've also commented on his conviction in front of goal. But I think a good performance from Newcastle. They were strong. They did actually defend reasonably well despite Liverpool having all those chances. You conceded Liverpool to just one goal, which is rare to see at this moment in time in the league. But yeah, like you say, resting, whether he rested Firmino or Klopp actually thought it was the correct decision. It just strikes me as a bit strange considering it's international break coming up. Liverpool don't have any games for a couple of weeks, so resting him didn't seem like it was the likely reason. So perhaps he just thought it was the tactical decision. But Newcastle played really well anyway.
I did find a tweet pretty funny. I saw someone say that Sturridge's performance today was his perfect application to move to the MLS, and it did kind of seem like that kind of performance. Maybe in another league he'd have got a hat trick out of it, but it was almost like a step behind in this game. Do you
think Sturridge has the name value to go to somewhere like the MLS?
I don't particularly know. It's internationally how well he's known.
Yeah.
I guess performances for England and things like that. I don't know.
What do you think, Elias, on that note?
He scored the winner at the Euros, didn't he?
It's been around for a while, and I think it definitely has some fans in the USA, especially as Liverpool are quite big in America with the American owners and all that.
So, that's true.
Yeah, that's a good link.
Well, he could be tearing it up with Bradley Wright Phillips and could be leading the line for England at the World Cup, maybe. But it's been a tough week in total for Liverpool, really. Again, drew away to Spartak Moscow. Didn't actually watch the game, but heard they were going to they were dominating basically and should have won quite handily. The other game in their group as well, Sevilla won 3-0, so they're getting a bit of breathing room between them and the top of the group. There were a couple of 3-0 wins in the Champions League actually. Another British side won 3-0. Celtic, a big 3-0 win away to Anderlecht. Did you know Celtic this season so far have the highest average percentage per game? Pipping the likes of Real Madrid and Barcelona.
I didn't see that stat actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, it goes back to Rodgers' time at
It's a
Swansea.
it's a picked out stat.
I don't know. It's a pretty impressive one, I think.
It's still a cherry picked one.
well, maybe. I mean, the way obviously it goes back to Brendan Rodgers' time at Swansea when he was like had Joe Allen, Leon Britton, you know, the Welsh Xavi and such. Didn't really adopt that philosophy at Liverpool, but has obviously gone back to it now. They actually dropped points at the weekend. Celtic drew 2-2 at home to Hibernian. Did you see this? The half time of that game. Who came onto the pitch?
No.
It was only Coolio.
What?
You know, the rapper.
Yeah, no, we were aware. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why?
I don't know. I guess he's a Celtic fan.
Was he pitch invading?
Seems like the biggest oxymoron ever. Like Coolio rapping to a load of Scottish people.
To be fair, if I was to like draw the word oxymoron like in like artistic form, it'd probably come out like Coolio's hair. That's a bit all over the place. So. Another 3-0 in the Champions League. Applewell 0, Spurs 3, and that draws us nicely onto the Harry Kane show, both in the Champions League and at Huddersfield. This game kicked off. Huddersfield looked like they were going to try and make it difficult for Tottenham, but is it Lascelles, the Huddersfield goalkeeper, making making an interesting clearance, and Spurs coming back off that. That first goal was too easy for Tottenham. Do you guys agree? Like that was unbelievable.
Oh man, the left back for Huddersfield had such a mad that game. It was really painful to watch him. He was at fault for the first and the second goal, which it's just painful to watch when that happens, especially in the Premier League.
The second goal was unfortunate considering how lovely a build-up it was, and then just unfortunate that the defender sort of knocked it straight over to Davies, who's finishing. His finish cannot be underestimated there. I think it was a very nice little dinkeroonie. Then Kane second.
Utilising the wing backs really well.
Yeah, I didn't think Ben Davies had it in him running up that high, but excellent fantasy football pickup again. Got another hatful of points.
5 million or 5.4 million, something like that.
I think he's shooting up. It's going to be interesting because the news is that Rose is back for the Madrid game, I think. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in that position. We'll see. But Spurs comfortable winners at 4-0. Kane's second was lovely, cutting in on his left foot, smashing it in. Bale-esque, if I do say so myself, having years of experience.
You love talking about Tottenham on the podcast, don't you?
I don't mind, especially when they win. And Mike Dean's giving penalties. That didn't happen this game though. But all those goals came in the first 25 minutes. I think Tottenham took their foot off the gas until Moussa Sissoko changed the game, made it 4-0.
And then they put it back on because he came off.
Yeah, made it 4-0. His first goal. We're having a party down at Wembo.
It was real great goal.
I've said this before. He is Yaya Toure without the actual ability of a footballer.
What, lazy?
No. Oh wait, no. Yeah, that's true. Never mind. When he actually runs, when he decides to actually run, then.
Is it his goal, the last one?
Yeah, I think so. It definitely went down as his because they were talking about it.
Right,
I think
right.
The dubious goals panel probably gave it to him out of pity, I imagine.
Yeah.
At that point.
Just for pure meme footballing sake, football Twitter went wild.
If it has gone down as an own goal, then just change it back.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, literally. But Harry Kane, there's been a lot of chat this week actually, or the last couple of weeks about this quote-unquote world-class bracket in the Premier League. The strikers that have been put in that are Kane. We'll talk about another one here, Lukaku, who got a goal for Manchester United. We'll talk about the other two in a minute, but we'll quickly go to the Man United game. Fellaini, should he be in the world-class bracket? Two-headed goals. It's fantastic.
Quick answer.
Here we go, clickbait again.
Clickbait. Is Fellaini world-class?
Fellaini world-class,
Mourinho certainly thinks so. They didn't miss him though, did they? In the Champions League, absolutely ran riot. Was it CSKA or Cesca? They absolutely annihilated.
Yeah.
CSKA.
Yeah. So that's 4 goals in the last. 4 goals in each of their last 3 games. Is it? Did they beat Everton? Was their game before? So. Oh, no, maybe not. No, sorry, got that wrong. Last 2 games. My apologies. Yeah, what did you think of Man United? Oh, we don't really need to talk about this too much, to be honest. Pretty routine win, actually. But Lukaku getting his goal.
Yeah.
Palace still not scored.
Not going to score next game either.
It's going to Chelsea next game.
Yeah,
It's going to be interesting.
The
What do you guys
only
think of
team in
that?
the top divisions in Europe, not score.
They're doing
Yeah.
well.
There's out of 316 teams which cover the whole top division of all the UEFA leagues in Europe, UEFA covered leagues in Europe, they're the only team not to score. So it's impressive at this point. It's gone beyond the.
That's what they're
It
building
had some
there.
nice chances as well with Sacco.
Who did you? Sorry.
Striker Sacco.
Yeah, did you think he was playing up front? I was just going to say, I sort of, I didn't know whether they were playing a sort of 4-2-4, but 4 attacking midfielders rather than.
I thought it was like a 4-2. No, I thought it was like a 4-2-4 false 9. Like it was.
Four false nines.
It's getting
It's a Jeffrey
laughable at this
Schlupp
point
higher up.
because if you haven't scored for 6 games and you line up a team that hasn't got a clear striker and bring him on in the 83rd minute or something like that,
Who was
the
it that
only
brought
striker
on?
on the bench.
Lapidou.
Freddie Lapidou, yeah.
Yeah. I believe he was signed from non-league.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so they
That's
have
your
been,
only striker.
yeah, that's their only striker. They have been linked with Carlton Cole.
Yeah, sort of that. When times get tough.
Yeah, other free agents
Cole get
available.
going.
Ricky Lambert is currently
Oh.
Danny Osvaldo, who actually hasn't been playing
Osvaldo.
for a year because he's focusing on music. You know, there's Southampton.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
We scored that worldie against
City.
Yeah. So
Love that goal.
that's his CV written.
I don't know how long Benteke's actually out for. Did you guys know that? Maybe? Or top
We
It's
were-
a while, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, he was out on crutches, so probably a few months.
Oh dear.
It's 6 weeks.
Yeah.
To be fair, I don't know if they're going to miss him. To be honest, I don't know. He didn't actually seem to add much
But
to
it's
their
got goals
game.
with him. You can't miss us.
Exactly. Yeah, unreal.
See, Benteke is one of those strikers that needs supply in this. Like he needs,
yeah.
They
so-
certainly have supply. They got the likes of Townsend, Punchin.
Jeffrey Schlupp playing
Jeffrey
further
Schlupp.
up now.
I mean, he's
yeah.
going to have to. I think he did play striker for Leicester a little bit,
He
actually.
did. Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
might
Played
be there.
everywhere.
We're
He
not
might be
playing
the
left back
answer.
anymore because Van Arnold's back. So
Well, we'll see what Roy the boy can do. 2 strikers that have been scoring. You know, that Crystal Palace would love to have in Morata and Aguero. I would have loved to say they faced off, but unfortunately Aguero was involved in an accident off the pitch, which he hopefully will be back soon. A couple of broken ribs, I believe. And Morata unfortunately came off. I believe it was quite early on, around 30-minute mark.
30th. Yeah.
So Chelsea versus Man City. It looked like it was going to be an intriguing tie. Turned out to be extremely one-sided, Elias. Despite what the score suggests.
That's a frustrating game.
I think City just sort of. What did you think of Chelsea's lineup? Because
I was going to say this.
because no Pedro. No Pedro. Willian didn't start either, and no Moses as well. When you compare this to the sort of team that played against Tottenham, where they would sort of sit back, let Tottenham have the ball and they hit them on the break, they're obviously very successful there. And then you compare this to the game against Arsenal, where they played a bit more sort of. They played Fabregas, I think, is the selection that perhaps took me by surprise against the Man City team, who are obviously going to have all the ball. And I'm not really sure what Fabregas really gives you if you don't have possession. I don't know what your take on that is, guys.
Fabregas was way too slow to play this game, and that's probably the only pick I disagree with in that team, because the whole backline was good except for Alonso. Alonso could have stayed on the bench, to be honest. He was so sluggish. He looked like he was just come off like a night out with the lads or something, because I don't know what he was doing. He was not keeping up with Sterling. Of course, that's a big ask, but he was not positionally well. He wasn't really providing anything forwards.
Yeah.
Azpilicueta, of course, playing right wing back instead of centre back in this game, and did a decent job. And Azpilicueta, of course, plays well with Morata, as Conte knows. And when he actually got the ball down the line, he put in some good crosses and was probably our best attacking player in that game.
With the missing Mendy as well, Man City, with injury, do you think perhaps not picking Moses as well, perhaps a bit more of an attacking threat down that right, or do you think were you okay with the Azpilicueta selection?
No, I'm okay with that. But
Yeah.
I think he can do the job, like double what Moses can do, even attackingly and defensively. So I'm fully like behind the Azpilicueta picking up last one.
Yeah. Sorry, I was going to say I agree. I agree. I think that's probably why Azpilicueta probably had like the best attacking opportunities for Chelsea, because he was attacking Delph, who's not exactly a left back. But I thought Chelsea's lineup was more defensive than it did need to be. I know obviously they had players out, but I thought it was a bit more defensive than it had to be, to be honest, rather than leaving.
Oh, I completely disagree.
I know you were saying sort of hit them on the break or whatever, but this, like Elias said, that distinct lack of pace to counter is just.
When I said they didn't pick Pedro or Willian, I meant those players are better defensively, rather than Hazard.
Well, but it's like they still played like 3 at the back and 5 across midfield of defensive midfielders.
Yeah, but they're going to do that all game. That's just their best players in those positions, I think.
No, I don't know. I still would have played with maybe an extra attacking player over Fabregas.
Well, I think Fabregas is that attacking choice. That's what I'm saying. I think Fabregas is the choice they pick when they want to unlock a defence. I don't know if you agree, Elias, but like I think he's the player they pick when Chelsea have the ball, rather than perhaps playing like taking him out and then playing Willian, who you know is going to do so much running when they don't have the ball. So I don't know if that's my opinion of a defensive pick anyway. Martin Keown actually came out about this. Sorry, I did ask for your opinion. Go on.
Yeah, yeah. Like Fabregas is decent when the opposition midfield isn't that flowing as City's are. They just play really well together, and De Bruyne and David Silva is just they're just too quick on the ball for Fabregas to keep up. Which is like when Fabregas has the ball, he's got the best feet out of any Chelsea player. But he's just way too slow on the ball. He needs that time, and he couldn't get that in the game because they kept like widening out the defenders and the midfielders. So there was so much space in midfield, even with 5, if you could call it 5 midfielders across the line. We were just way too wide, and they found the gaps in the middle where Bakayoko and Kante couldn't be.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I just wanted to mention as well quickly about Martin Keown's comments saying Rudiger isn't good enough to play for Chelsea. That wasn't really the point I was going to home in on, but I was going to say, do you think this was one from an individual standpoint, so just City, or do you think tactically and as a whole entire system and team, City were just better in that aspect, or do you think it's just the case that their individual players are better than Chelsea's?
I disagree with those comments because I think the Chelsea backline was really good that game. The only thing I was struggling with was the midfield, so I'm not sure because Rudiger had I think he had a decent game, and Christensen had a really good game as well. Cahill didn't do like anything particular that caught my eye, but that's just Cahill. So I don't agree at all with those comments because Rudiger is like a Zuma type player when he's running without the ball. Could work a bit with his touch and stuff like that, but I think he's just a decent defender. And he works well with Christensen, so I'm not sure where he's getting those comments from.
Yeah, I mean, Martin Keown, well known for being interesting. So Man City obviously 1-0 win. 1-0 win in Shakhtar. Perhaps their goals are drying up. Well, if they don't score many next after the international break, we'll talk about that. But going into that, they've got the 3 points in both those games. Chelsea, though, unfortunate result here, but a fantastic result at the Wanda Metropolitano.
Yes.
Obviously, first team to beat Tottenham at their new home. First team to beat Atletico at their new home.
Yeah.
Phenomenal performance. Do you want to have a quick little spruce on that, considering we've just slated Chelsea for a little bit? I'll let you have a bit of praise for your team.
Well, Morata keeps showing why we paid them big bucks for him. He's really showing they can do it in the big games, and that's one thing that Swedish pundits went into. That since he came off in the 30th minute, is this a point where we can start maybe questioning him if he can do it in the big games? And after coming out and scoring in the Atletico game, I'm not sure where they're getting this because they mentioned the Tottenham game and the Arsenal game. that he was really like participant in.
Yeah.
But after scoring against Atletico Madrid, who are a pretty big team in my opinion, I don't know if you can start questioning that already.
Yeah, no, I think Atleti have had a tough start to the season, but they're really on their A game, especially at home and in the Champions League. So I think that performance from Chelsea, not just the result, the actual performance was actually very, very good.
It was really good, yeah, and that's why I was really frustrated with the City game, because in the Atletico game we kept possession so well, and we just tactically outplayed Atletico, and I haven't seen the Chelsea side do that since. It's been a while, as you're saying that, because we usually sit back and counter and just win with these quick players like Hazard and Willian, stuff like that, and just being the side that holds the ball and just completely outplays an Atletico side is really fun to watch. So it was a really nice climax with coming into the City game.
Yeah. We'll see which Chelsea's the real Chelsea when the Premier League comes back. When they get a real test away to Crystal Palace. Yeah, Atletico Madrid 1, Chelsea 2. We'll go to the other Madrid side in the Champions League. Dortmund 1, Madrid 3. Great win for Real Madrid here. Unfortunately, some sad news about Dani Carvajal, who has been ruled out of football indefinitely due to some heart irregularities been found, I believe, which is so sad, really, considering how good of a player he is. I don't know if you guys wanted to share any comments on that one.
I haven't even heard about that.
Oh,
so
breaking news.
I heard about it, and I did look into it. Apparently, his heart problems, while he does have a heart problem, it was known, and it is related to flu that he's got at the moment, which worsens his condition. So it is almost that while he has this flu, it makes his heart problem so bad that it could seriously affect him, obviously. But once his immune system works or whatever, and he gets rid of his flu symptoms, apparently he could be back. Not at risk, basically, so he could play football again. However, of course, they're very cautious with heart conditions and football. So I think that's why it's indefinite. But I'm sure if you can prove or doctors can prove that medically he is sound to do strenuous exercise, then
that's
it may be
a
back.
slight piece of good news.
Yeah, it's just it's really like it's a shimmer of hope, maybe, but apparently that is the case, in that his influenza's causing it to be a lot worse or puts him at risk.
Hopefully he'll get well soon. The other team, Dortmund, who did win this weekend in the league, and Shinji Kagawa becoming the highest scoring Japanese Bundesliga player with a lovely chip. I don't know if you've seen his goal, guys, but if you have, it was a first time chip on the edge of the box over the goalkeeper. It was absolutely beautiful after a cutback.
It's short range, it's so good.
Yeah, it's absolutely lovely. And Dortmund keeping their grip on Bundesliga incredibly firm, especially after some shenanigans at Bayern. I don't know what else to say. Ancelotti gone after some interesting Champions League action. Lost 3-0 to PSG. That amazing front three doing work in that game. Interesting stuff going into this game, actually. Tom Stark, the goalkeeping coach and former Germany goalkeeper, actually was brought out of retirement to fill in for Manuel Neuer as the third goalkeeper in the Champions League squad. He actually had to be named the eligible squad. This was an interesting one. I pitched you guys a little question behind the curtain to bring to this episode of who would you, if you could, bring out of retirement in the backroom staff of a team to get their boots back on and play in the current team.
Who do you want to start?
Whoever's got it.
Well, I got it. I've got a pretty good one, I think, at least. And I would really like to see what Claude Makelele could do.
No way! No way! I've got like a whole article written on mine, and it's Claude Makelele. God damn it! If you bring out the Wayne Bridge quote next, I'm leaving.
I'm not bringing out any quotes. I just wanted to mention that because that's one of the players that I really admire.
Sorry, just for the listeners, Michael shouted over the team. Who does Claude Makelele play for?
Swansea.
Oh, lovely. You could teach Renato Sanchez a thing or two, I'll tell you.
Well, can I bring out the Wayne Bridge quote then?
Of course, yeah, go for it.
So they said The N'Golo Kante is just like having another Clara Makalele, and obviously Swansea could definitely do with a player like N'Golo Kante at the moment, so they could definitely do with their coach.
There's quite a few players Swansea could do with at the moment.
Yeah, that's true, but get him on the pitch, as you said. Get him on the pitch.
Brilliant. I thought a nice one, actually. If you've got none, Michael, I'll just come in.
Well, I had Makalele, but I made the mistake of letting Elias go first.
Always have a backup, always have a backup. I thought a nice one was Mikel Arteta, who I think would work brilliantly in that Manchester City midfield at the moment. Just orchestrating the play as a deep midfielder. I think it'd be
the Xabi Alonso role.
Yeah, the Xabi Alonso role. Also, Roy Hodgson. He might as well stick his boots on, go up front. Palace could do a lot worse. Another manager who probably needs to get back on the pitch is Ronald Koeman, because Everton dropping the win to Burnley. Burnley with a big 3 points here, and an absolutely astonishing performance. They were absolutely brilliant today. Everton 0, Burnley 1. Jeff Hendrick with a really actually quite nicely worked goal, considering how you sort of expect Burnley's goals to go in. But Everton, just going forward, there's just nothing there, is there, guys?
No.
No, yeah, simple as that. No.
There's just I think they're just shooting from distance. I think Sigurdsson. I mean, they started Nias this game, and Koeman's on the verge of desperation now.
Yeah. It's not clicked yet. We talked about it.
Is it?
I think we talked about it week 2 or 3 that this Everton squad, it's just a case of it will click. But when you are starting a player that came off the bench and scored 2 goals last week, as you're looking for your main goal scoring threat, it's not clicked because it's clutching at straws.
So
when is it going to click? Because you're having to make that rotation because you're desperate.
Well, that's what
it's a problem. Like Kuma must be under a lot of pressure now, like a lot of pressure.
Well, I was going to say, with all that rotation, how's it going to click if the same players? If he has a system and he has players he wants to play in that system, let them play together. If you're worried, if that's the problem, but it makes you start to think he's panicking a bit now.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And it was another poor performance in the Europa League as well. I believe they drew, didn't they? They drew 2-2 at home.
Yeah, Apollon Limassol.
Yeah. So
did they let the lead slip twice?
Yeah. I think they went 1-0 down. I think.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. I'm not actually sure. I can't remember. But in this game, starting with Klassen on the bench, Rooney also on the bench, and it's just like these players have been brought in. And they're starting with a midfield of Guy, Schneidlin and Vlaric. I don't know much about the 19-year-old, but
he was probably the best player in this game.
but Guy and Schneidlin playing at home, when you want to create chances, and playing both of them. I mean, Schneidlin's got a good range of passing, but you can take him out and put in Klassen or Rooney. Sandro was the other one who's on the bench. Sorry, that's around what's that? Around £80 million of their players on the bench that they signed this summer. It's worrying for Everton, it really is. But Burnley... go on.
I also want to mention that Gylfi Sigurdsson is looking really bored at playing football. I don't know if it's just because of performances or if it's because he is not enjoying or something like that. But completely disinterested and he's not looking like that Gylfi Sigurdsson lit up Swansea last season, and it's just really worrying for Everton, and who I predicted were going to do pretty well with these signings because they are decent signings.
I think we all did, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just very worrying because they are down there now, and they need to get going soon because it's starting to get almost 10 games in now.
Yeah. I think Sigurdsson's one of those players who needs a team built around him, but I think several of those signings are. And go on.
I was going to make the point, I can't remember the choice of words I was going to use. Maybe he feels a bit diluted in that squad, whereas at Swansea he felt like a feature piece. Whereas in this Everton squad, there's a bunch of relatively big name signings to big name signings, and it's just they're not working together. They all probably feel in a similar situation that I used to be a feature piece of the squad, etc., etc., and the morale's just going to decrease and decrease and decrease, no matter just not winning games. Like when you've made signings and it just gets worse and worse, the players are just more and more demotivated.
Well, when you put that with Elias' point of Sigurdsson looking completely depressed,
exactly, that's what I mean.
It's already happening.
And it just for me, it wasn't even just Sigurdsson that looked like that. There was a few players that look that way. Like even Baines looked bored, and Baines has obviously been at Everton for years. It's like, and I don't know whether that could be where you put it back to the manager Koeman. It's like
I think that's just Baines' like expression. That's just his face. Yeah, it's Koeman. What do we think? Koeman, chance of being sacked soon?
Yes.
Yeah.
During the international break, do you want to put your...
No.
No?
Next game. He's got
Are
one
they
more
going
game.
to get Ancelotti in?
The thing with Ancelotti, Conte apparently said, reported, not my source, reported saying Ancelotti's going to leave it a while before he comes back into football. But that would be an astonishing performance. The amount of money they've... an astonishing... basically signing, acquisition for Everton. But considering the amount of money they've spent this summer, there's absolutely no reason they can't spend that money on a manager as well and give him a massive contract. Yeah.
Everton weren't awful this game.
I don't know.
They weren't.
Name
they
one
were the
chance
better
where they
team.
should have scored.
Yeah, that's what the point I was getting. I know that they didn't maybe make clear-cut chances, but for a home performance, they while they didn't set up right, the mentality was right almost. I think they're just not executed perfectly. It's so strange how they're almost just a step away from it being okay, but they were 4 or 5 weeks ago. So where's the progress?
You say they played well as well. 63% possession, had 23 shots to Burnley's 5, but in the same breath, that's how Burnley wanted Everton to play. They wanted
Burnley
to play
would
into their
love
hands.
to see stats like that. That's how Burnley play. They'll get the goal, which they got relatively. Yeah, they got the goal, which they got relatively early on, and they sat on it.
Yeah, Hendrick, Cork, me, and not me. I didn't play. Ben me and Tarkovsky as well. That sort of middle four of the two centre backs and the two central midfielders absolutely solid there. They just couldn't get through the middle at all. Yeah. And when they go to the wide areas, who's in the box? I don't know. They kind of didn't sign the player they need. If they'd taken out one of those the creative midfielders and brought an out-and-out striker, like you look at Everton's squad, they don't actually have an out-and-out striker. They have Sandro and Rooney, but they're not really, they're not going to get in the box for you. And if they've got the creative players behind them, they need someone in that box who's going to score the goals. I don't know. Everton is a tough nut to crack at the moment. Well, it is for Koeman anyway. But Burnley, fantastic performances from them. Away performances so far this season. They've played Spurs, Chelsea, Liverpool, and now Everton away from home. Unbeaten. They've only lost to one team this season. Can you remember who it was? At home? I'll give you a clue.
Huddersfield
United?
I'll give you... no. It was West Bromwich Albion. And that was my link to the West Bromwich Albion Watford game. 2-2. Goals.
You wouldn't expect in a West Brom game.
After speaking about the last two.
Late goals.
Late goals, yeah. Another Richarlison late goal. And he is turning into an absolute talisman for Watford. We'll come on to him a bit later on in this little chat. But it was West Brom who took the lead with a Rondon goal. What do we think of West Brom this season? Because obviously it started really well. They've gone off the boil a little bit. Perhaps purely think they've already escaped relegation, considering how bad Palace are. Yeah, what do you think of West Brom, and what do you think their goals realistically are this season at this point?
How are they 10th? Is my question. How they're still 10th? How they're performing like the past few games? Beggars belief to me, but their goals are always going to come through the same way: set pieces, and just waiting for mistakes from the opposition, or just like, which I don't know. Could you say the first goal was a mistake, particularly?
I think,
or just caught out.
You can probably point out a mistake in every goal you see.
Yeah, I think Gomez has to do better.
I disagree. I think it's a good strike. It's a good height. Right, it's a good height for Gomez, but Gomez isn't considered one of the best keepers in the league.
Oh wait, are we talking about the first or second goal?
The first goal, the Rondon goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Gomez is 100% at fault. Has to save it.
I mean, maybe, but my argument is if you have Gomez as your number one keeper, you're probably gonna concede goals like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it was West Brom's goals will always come through the same way on Pulis, just set pieces and pouncing on mistakes.
Well, the second goal was, of course, was it a corner or a free kick? I think it might have been a free kick, actually. I can't remember. But anyway, Evans at the back post with the header. Did you see the goal? Because Hegazi absolutely clatters Johnny Evans. Takes him out the running.
He's hungry for those goals, Hegazi.
Yeah, oh yeah. And if maybe Hegazi's the reason Johnny Evans didn't leave in the summer in the end. It's like, you want to go to Man City? No, smash. But a good character from Watford, I believe. That's what Marcus Silva said at full time. A good character. Decore with a bit of a good strike, but took a deflection, I believe, on the way in. Yeah. And the Richarlison winner. He, like I said, he's really turned into Watford's main man at this point. Started on the left, or has this season. Seems the longer this game went on, it seemed to become more of a central role for him. And I didn't realise how good... Well, I don't know if this is just he had a couple of headed chances. But he seems to be able to... I don't know if he's tall, but he seems to be able to get off the ground really well and wins a lot of headers. And the goal just proves that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's just... I don't think he particularly even gets off the ground very well. I think he just uses his body quite well, for his size, just to get in the air.
Pretty young as well, isn't he? 20, aren't they?
Well, yeah. Well, that's what he is. Baby, maybe he is Brazil's rising star. Maybe he is, and we'll see him at the World Cup lighting it up. But I think that pedestal is probably held for Neymar, who has had an interesting time at PSG. I think we probably should get a weekly Neymar watch, because it seems entertaining viewing, to be honest. Obviously won 3-0 in the Champions League. Got Ancelotti sacked, which was nice of him. Trying to get Cavani sacked as well, by the sounds of things. Scored a fantastic free kick in a 6-2 win over Bordeaux. Did you see that? About 35 yards out?
Yeah, keeping him moved.
Paying bribes.
Fixed.
I think Ligue 1 probably is fixed, considering how PSG are going to run away with it, especially after Monaco drop points again. But PSG is just a club which is just interesting. Really, recently, of course, they had the Cavani Neymar stuff. Cavani apparently wasn't invited to Thiago Silva's birthday party, as he wasn't pictured in Mbappe's Instagram post. Who wouldn't you invite, guys? Who wouldn't you invite if your team had a party and you were setting up? Who would you leave off the guest list?
I'm going to pick Chelsea then. That's my team that's having a party, and I'm going to pick Gary Cahill and his biceps, because you wouldn't be able to fit because you wouldn't be able to fit any more people in the room.
Jesus, that's like some man love going on, or no, because you didn't even invite him to the party.
Yep.
He's not at home with you, is he?
No.
Oh, okay.
He's probably crying in the corner.
That was a very quick no.
Crying into his eyes. It's biceps. Crying into his biceps. There we go. Criceps. What about you, Michael? You got one for us?
I've got one with good reason, and that's Emilio and Sue for Birmingham. Because
two people.
What?
Emilio and Sue. I'm here all week.
Because against Rotherham last season, apparently tried to headbutt Ryan Shotton.
That's nice.
For one. And then apparently this weekend after the weekend before? Oh yeah, after this weekend for the loss against Hull, him and Michael Morrison apparently ended up in a scrap in the dressing room just to continue with the Birmingham fighting in the changing room saga.
Right. Sounds like you got it. Can you just tell us actually for the viewing public what the final score was in the Birmingham game this weekend?
6-1.
Sorry?
6-1.
To Birmingham?
Yes. Brilliant goals from Sebastian Larsson. And
what year are we in? 2007?
I was going to say John Tralby didn't even score. I was going to try and remember. No, we lost 6-1.
Excellent. Red card as well, was it? Was there a red card?
No.
I thought there was.
Just don't try and clutch at straws. It was just a straight 6-1. We only scored in the 93rd minute as well.
Oh, so not missing Harry then, at least. That's good. I'm glad. I'm proud of you guys.
It's Harry's fault the change room's in a mess, Phil.
Covered in blood.
Everyone hates each other. Apparently, a 19, a 21-year-old apparently had a bust up in the change rooms as well. I don't know who they think they are.
They weren't even players. They just turned up. It's just a fight.
Just turn up for a scrap. Up the Blues.
Oh dear. Well, 6-1, eh? Big result. Great way to go into shock results around Europe this weekend. What do you think of that? And well, we'll talk about it in a minute. We'll come to when we talk about Liga and the shock results there. But the big results in the mighty La Liga. Leganes 0, Atletico 0, which kind of puts that Chelsea result into perspective, Elias, doesn't it, really? Hertha 2, Bayern 2, Bayern held again. AC Milan losing at home to Roma by 2-0. Roma are a good side, but that is a shocker, considering, you know. And Milan very lucky, actually in Europa League. They were 2-0 up. Actually pegged back to 2-2 on the 88th and 92nd minute. And I actually believe they won it in the 95th. To Liga 1, Monaco held at home by Montpellier Friday night 1-1, and Angers 3, Lyon 3, giving PSG a giant lead. But quickly into Liga 1 as well. Unfortunate scenes I believe it's Amiens, is it? It's their stadium, or the Lille. I believe it was the Lille fans. Unfortunately, a fence collapsed and basically fell out the stand onto the pitch from a considerable height. Really, I don't believe there's any serious injuries. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Reported, but I don't know. It's one of those where it's
yeah.
Well, I have to wait for an official statement.
Yeah. Hopefully everyone's okay. Anyway, we pray and hope everyone gets well soon. But yeah, Milan. I'll go back to that Milan result in the Europa League. Coming back from getting a last-minute winner. Another team who won in Europa League. Anyone guesses? Anyone guess where we're going here?
Arsenal.
To the Everest.
Östersund. Oh no.
Okay. No.
Östersund beat Hertha Berlin.
Oh.
1-0.
Nice.
Yeah. And that's a Swedish mid-table team.
Well, Sweden.
Of the Swedes.
Did you want to mention AOK then? Because I've lost the transition there.
We won 5-2.
Oh, easy. Back in the title race?
No.
Oh, okay. Nice. Also, we missed out Rosenberg's as well in Europa League. 1-3-1 against Varda. A lovely Nicholas Bentner assist. A back heel from about 25 yards out. Put the striker through 1-on-1. And he's not Nicholas Bentner, so I don't know his name, but he scored. Arsenal, then we'll go back there. A 2-0 win, pretty, routine really. I think Brighton had chances, but Jack Wilshere's come out and obviously said he wants to be part of this Arsenal team again. Played well against Bate Borisov, apparently. On the bench today, didn't get any minutes, but what do we think of his chances about playing in the Arsenal team again? I'll give it to you guys.
Well, he played really well against Doncaster Rovers last weekend, I heard. So
that's good.
I mean, he's got a good chance of playing against a team like Bate Borisov.
If he's not getting any team at the moment, he's struggling. If he's not getting any team at the moment, he's struggling because the likes of Coquelin and Ozil are already out. But what about his chance of getting in the England team? Because that squad was announced and he wasn't involved. But there's still a lot of months to go till the World Cup.
No.
Nice. Okay. Well, the English squad was announced anyway, and he wasn't in it, like I said. Peter Crouch also not in it, but he did get a really important goal for Stoke as they swatted aside Southampton. 2-1 it finished. It's nice. It's always nice to see Crouchy scoring. What do you think? Do you like Crouchy? I think everyone likes Crouchy, don't they?
Well, he nearly moved to Birmingham this summer, so you love him. But I hate him because he didn't move.
Oh, okay. He's a funny guy.
Yeah, he's a funny guy.
No one mentions his football ability. Interesting.
No. He's decent. His feet actually work.
Wallace.
Yeah, nice guy.
No, nice guy.
Stoke took the lead, and then they had a penalty, I believe. It was actually Choupo-Moting. No, sorry, it was Biram Diouf who scored. Right wing back sensation, Mama Biram Diouf, with a headed goal from the corner. Immediately after that, Virgil van Dijk conceded a penalty on Berahino, who immediately got the ball. And perhaps Virgil van Dijk should look at the career trajectory of Berahino, considering he didn't leave West Brom when he tried to force through a move, and think, you know what, maybe I should probably try for Southampton, otherwise I'm probably going to be playing for Stoke and not scoring, even though I've been there for 2 years. Of course he was linked with that move to Spurs so long ago. Missed the penalty, Southampton came back into it. What do we think of Yoshida's finish?
Well, you're asking where Southampton's goals would have come from, and you found it.
With an absolute belter off the crossbar.
Slam him up front.
Might as well. No, maybe Crystal Palace will get him on emergency loan. Just whack him up front. Finishing like that. Absolutely phenomenal. But eventually it was Stoke who saw out the win with Peter Crouch. Still doing the job, celebrating against his old club. But then I feel like whenever he scores so rarely, He's got to. And also, he's played for so many teams as well. Let's celebrate against. He just wouldn't be able to celebrate anymore. Also, Manuel Pellegrino, the Southampton manager, looks a lot like Billy Bob Thornton. I've decided.
Okay.
Right.
Do you not agree?
No idea who it is. So.
No.
You don't know who Billy Bob Thornton is?
No.
You'd know him if you saw him. Oh yeah, viewers, listeners.
Oh, is he is he a singer?
No.
Oh.
He's an actor. Yeah, viewers, let us in. Give us, you know what, viewers, listeners, keep saying viewers, apologies, listeners, give us an email, inthemixerpodcast@gmail.com, or at inthemixershow of your favourite football manager lookalikes with other families. Give us that one. We'll read a couple of them out next week, if we, one, get any, and two, agree. So, you know two tough criteria to meet there. The rest of the Premier League action then. West Ham 1, Swansea 0. I'll come on to that game a bit more when we talk about our villain or villains of the week. But a good win for West Ham here, guys. They needed it, didn't they?
Yeah, they need everything they can get.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sacco, the forgotten man who looked like he was going to leave in the summer, actually getting the winner.
He tried to hold his shirt up to the camera, but got pushed off by
somebody. and when he eventually got to hold it up, he was covering his name. It was just the number. Goodness me. So a big win for West Ham there. And the last game of the weekend we haven't covered is Bournemouth 0, Leicester 0. Who I think, Elias, you actually had some quite harsh words for Bournemouth.
Yeah, they're boring. And that's it.
Boring, Muff.
You could just say Bournemouth.
Oh.
AFC Bournemouth 0, Leicester 0. Didn't expect this game to be 0-0 at all. Thought I had both teams to score written all over it. But Bournemouth were the better team, easily. Don't know if I'm quite going to categorise them in the boring area of the division yet, considering the likes of Southampton and Crystal Palace exist. Michael, what do you think? Bournemouth boring, or do you think Elias has been harsh?
They're just not. No, they're still trying to play the same attacking football and nice football they played last season. They're just not scoring, so I guess that's the boring part. Boring.
So we'll come back to it. Oh, he's going in the Okay, he's falling in the boring camp. Wow. Well, harsh. We'll see. Right, we'll move on to MVP of the week then. God, MVP already. We're 55 minutes into this podcast, or 50 minutes in. That's crazy. It's gone fast. Yeah, MVP of the week then. Do you guys want to go first, or shall I go first, or?
You should go first.
You should go first.
Okay. Well, my MVP, it's going to come as no surprise. Completely biased pick. Harry Kane. 5 goals this week. Phenomenal player. Plays for England. Going to win him the World Cup. But no, he's really taken the Spurs team by the scruff of the neck at the moment and getting them some results where probably they haven't played quite well. Especially against Apoel, I don't think they played very well at all and got 3 goals out of it because of him, and he's just brilliant. Yeah, so yeah, Harry Kane is my MVP. Sorry, Michael, you can go next.
Absolutely, I'm going to go next because I do actually have a backup. My first choice was Harry Kane,
of course.
Which should only be natural, but I do actually have a backup for this, and I've gone for Sean Dyche.
Oh, good one.
Because again, Burnley, against what we may have classified as a top team at the start of the season, but still against a very talented squad, away from home have managed to pull off a brilliant result. And they're up to 6 in the table, and it's not at this point by fluke. It really is through a lot of hard work, and they've made an average-looking defence look really incredible, and they're a very solid pack. I think last week I praised them a lot, and I think this week they deserve to be upgraded to MVP, and particularly Sean Dyche for his work towards it.
I agree with that. That was a good one. Alice, you want to round us off?
I'll round you off with
buy me dinner first.
with a villain of the week from me.
Whoa! Skipping MVP.
Hang on. It fills the house. You can't move on without Phil.
Yeah, come on.
Okay.
MVP. Complete the set.
This is job's worth.
All right. Well, if you're an MVP, I'll say Pep Guardiola, because after Conte had such a good tactical display against Atletico Madrid, he got completely outplayed by Guardiola and thought through his completely Dead by Guardiola.
Sorry, I could hear how much you actually wanted to skip that through the
Yeah,
grit of
just
your
like-
teeth.
yeah,
I apologise.
just did,
Move
you
on to
just
villain
did.
of the week, or as I've renamed, because I think villain of the week is really harsh. Who Elias for you was bleak this week?
Bleak.
Oh,
Well,
bleak.
Antonio Conte.
Oh,
yeah.
well,
So yeah,
symmetrical,
because
I like
he, especially after his comments that he made after the City game, where he said that the Chelsea players gave everything they had, which I don't think was absolutely not the case. Like, he probably didn't string 3 passes together in the second half, and since Morata went off, we probably didn't touch the ball more than for 30 seconds. So I just think it was a completely misstep by Conte, and I'm not sure about his comments after the game.
Interesting. No, it makes sense. Right, what about you, Michael? You want
I did have 2 for this as well, having a backup, but I don't think my backup was going to get used, so I will mention.
You can name both if you want, as long as it's not mine.
Exactly. So the first one I was going to go for was Koeman. He looks at a loss with what to change with his team, with all the signings he's made. It's not particularly clicking, and they're getting beat by teams they probably at the start of the season said, "Yep, we'll pick up a win here." So it's getting a little bit desperate. I'm sure he's having conversations with the board about his job at the moment because it is he's under a lot of pressure. And my backup was Aguero's taxi driver.
Jesus. Well, I mean, it's fair enough. I mean, they didn't actually need him.
That's what I said. I think I mentioned it before the podcast. I said, "Oh, it doesn't really matter," but I'm gonna go for it anyway.
Perhaps if they'd lost by a goal or drew, perhaps
Yeah.
that may have been bumped up to your number one, but certainly perhaps justified. I'm not saying he could have been driving perfectly fine. I don't know, so I'm just going to leave that there. Who did I think was bleak this week, guys? I'll tell you. Thanks for asking. West Ham fans, the Boo Boys, who booed Slavan Bilic's 2 substitutions, Masuaku and Diafrasako coming on, and they did not like the fact Chicharito Hernandez came off, even though he touched the ball in the opponent penalty area once, and those 2 substitutes, of course, combined for the winner, and it was lovely because it reminded me of a specific moment. Mick McCarthy, no less. Wolves were 2-0 down. He made 2 substitutions, got booed, and they of course came back to draw 2-2 at Swansea, and he had a few choice words to say for those fans there. It's always nice. It's always nice when people, especially when they're under pressure, get a bit of one up on the Boo Boys, as it were. So yeah. Sorry, go on.
This is almost breaking. I'm sorry to put it in, but I've just seen Crystal Palace's goal of the month.
Oh no!
And it is just Saka's goal against Huddersfield played 4 times. So place your votes. So which you think should be goal of the month?
Yeah, get on that. Go over to Crystal Palace's Twitter. Go over to ours while you're at it, at In The Mixer Show, and give us a follow. Also, In The Mixer Podcast if you want to... In The Mixer Podcast at gmail.com if you want to send us an email and let us know what you're up to and if you want to ask any questions. Do you want to say goodbye, guys? We'll end it there if you want.
Yeah, goodbye.
Yeah. See you later.
Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
We appreciate it. Love you guys. Goodbye.
Thank you.